Welcome to Chapter 3, Creative Problem Solving and Decision Making. The importance of these skills. Problem solving and decision making are one of the 5 important management skills. These skills are crucial skills for effective managers, and of course the sports industry is not immune to these bad decisions. Daily decision making. As coaches and managers, we teach and encourage our players and employees to make decisions based on the success of the team. Putting the team in front, it will help guide these decisions, and your job as a manager is to help your employees, players make these decisions. Some researchers claim that managers typically make about 80 decisions daily, or one every 5 to 6 minutes. Problems. You and your boss will set objectives. Sometimes your boss will set those objectives. If those objectives are not being met, that's when a problem exists. Problem solving versus decision making. First decision concerns whether to take corrective action. Some problems cannot be solved. Others do not deserve to be solved due to the time that it would take. Sometimes we have to accept the change in the objective. However, it's your job to achieve organizational objectives. Success is based on how effective you can do both. Decision-making model. There are 6 steps. All managers perform 4 basic functions: plan, organize, lead, and control. For each of these functions, a decision must be made. Every action is preceded by a decision. 6 steps in our decision-making model. Okay. The Dallas Cowboys model has no general manager. Jerry Jones is the general manager and owner. Quicker decision making occurs with fewer people involved, but it's only successful if there is experience in the missing step. Decision styles. The reflective style is shoot from the hip. That is, how snap decisions without taking time to get all the information needed without considering alternatives. The positive, these decisions are quicker. The negative, quick decisions can lead to poor decisions. Reflective style. Reflective style is to take plenty of time to decide, gathering considerable information and analyzing numerous alternatives. Positive, you don't make reactive decisions. Negative could lead to a waste in valuable time and resources. Decision styles. Consistent style. Don't rush and don't waste time. Know when more information is needed and when it is time to stop analyzing, get moving, and make decisions. Speed is important for many managers. Believe it's better to move fast using adequate information and make a few mistakes than move slow and miss opportunities. Consistent decision makers boost the best decision-making record. Decision-making for officials. Officials are in a fishbowl. Everyone can see you. Everybody's waiting on your decision. One of the biggest errors officials fall into is making calls too quickly. Each decision has two phases: read and analyze the play and make the call. You have to keep your cool as an official, just like you have to keep your cool as a decision maker. Officials need to work in cruise control. This comes from years from experience, training, and analyzing performance. 6 steps of effective decision making. Number 1, define the problem or opportunity. Number 2, set objectives and criteria. Number 3, generate alternatives. Number 4, select the most feasible alternative. Number 5, implement the decision. And number 6, control the results. The decisions we make affect the rest of our lives and those of others we need to consciously follow our ethical guidelines during each step of the decision process. Step number 1, define the problem or opportunity. This step requires you to classify the problem, select appropriate level of employee participation, and distinguish the cause of the problem. Problems can be classified on whether they require programming or non-programming decisions. Non-programming decisions are non-reoccurring, non-routine, highly significant decisions. Select an appropriate level of employee participation. To succeed at decision making, you need to determine the appropriate level of employee participation in decision making process. You need to decide if you should make the decision solo or as part of a group. Distinguish symptoms from the cause of the problem. As previously we discussed, the first step in decision making is you set about defining the problem you want to solve or the opportunity you want to capitalize on. This step requires you to classify the problem, select an appropriate level of employee participation, and distinguish the cause of the problem from its symptoms. To practice defining a problem while being careful to classify it properly, if your objective is to make the playoffs, but your team finishes last, then you have a problem. Number 2, set objectives and criteria. Objectives state whether the individual or group or organization intends to accomplish, or what it intends to accomplish. Objectives can address the problem of long, short standing, or they can address opportunities in the marketplace. Criteria are the standards that must be met in order to accomplish the objective. Step 3, generate alternatives. An innovation alters what is established by introducing something new. If you're going to innovate, then you're going to fail. So understanding that innovation is part of the process, failure is not an option, but you are going to fail if you're going to innovate. You can't innovate without having some sort of fail at something, but we learn and move on from it. Creativity is a way of thinking that generates new solutions to problems and new approaches and opportunities. Step 3, the creative process. The creative process involves 3 steps. Number 1, the first step is prepare by gathering ideas, opinions. Second step, incubate the idea, which means letting that idea develop in your mind. The third step is to evaluate, then reevaluate the idea to see if it is worthwhile, if you're going to go forward with it. So number 1, gather ideas. Number 2, let those ideas incubate is the term that we're going to use. And number 3, let it develop and then evaluate and reevaluate to see if you're going to proceed forward with that new idea. Use of information and technology. Generating alternatives. Use of information technology. As you know, technology has opened up a wealth of access, a wealth of information, and the tools that allow us to move at much, much faster speeds that we previously didn't have access to. It also can be not useful. It can create more problems. So just using technology to generate alternatives, but we must be also cautious that it's not creating more problems. We all thought email was going to solve and speed up the workplace, and now you look at anybody's inbox, it's crammed full of emails. So just be cautious with using technology. We can use it to solve problems. We have an existing problem. It can be an alternative solution. Hey, if we want to bring in technology, it may create more issues. Groups to use creativity and innovation. Get groups to use creativity and innovation. A variety of methods are available to make the group more effective and more valuable experience. These methods include brainstorming, semantics, normal grouping, consensus mapping, and the Delphi technique. What are these? Brainstorming. Group members generate as many alternatives as they can. The common thing you see would be on a dry erase board or with post-it notes. You have the problem. Group members just start writing solutions, posting it, brainstorming ideas from it. Semantics is role-playing, fantasizing what may occur or what could occur with the possible solutions. We have this problem. We're going to go think into the future. That is an alternative as well. Normal grouping is a structured voting method, and there's 6 different aspects of this. Number 1, list ideas, record data, clarify the idea, rank the idea, discuss ideas, and number 6, implement or discuss the rankings. Excuse me. So again, the 6 are list ideas, record ideas, clarify ideas, rank the ideas, discuss those ideas that are ranked, and then you discuss the rankings. Okay. Decision trees, great example here on the slide of you have the timelines, the quality, the relevance, the completeness. It's pretty straightforward. It's a good activity to have as far as making decisions to visually see what it looks like. Okay. And again, this is a good visual help with decisions. Step number 4, select the most feasible alternative. As you begin to evaluate your decisions, think forward, predict possible outcomes. You look at generating and evaluating alternatives. At the same time, often lead to you sacrificing and wasting time on poorly developed alternatives. Break-even analysis calculates the volume of sales and revenue that will result in a profit. It involves forecasting, so predicting into the future, the volume of sales and the cost of production. The break-even point occurs at the same level where no profit or loss results. As you begin to evaluate, again, think forward and then compare these decisions and how they measure up against each other. So if we have a list of ideas, you have your alternatives, you start comparing, like as far as the output and what we're going to get to help you make those decisions. Again, more feasible alternatives, quantitative analysis and cost-benefit analysis. Quantitative techniques include break-even analysis, and the cost-benefit analysis also could pros and cons. You can make a list of pros on one side, cons on another side, advantages, disadvantages, cost, benefits, as a way to help you make those decisions. And again, here's a slide that shows on the charts. On the right-hand side, you have the cost-benefit, subjective, minimum use of math, and then the quantitative side is objective and maximum use of math. So numbers on the left, more shoot from the hip, forecasting on the right. Step number 5, implementing your decision. So now we have our alternatives. Now we picked the best one. Now how do we implement it? So this is the final step, and it's important to mention that this is probably the most crucial step. How you implement your plan is going to lead to whether it's going to be successful or fail. So final step, you need to make sure that you follow up on your decision making. You follow up on with your team. 50% of decisions fail because the decisions were never fully implemented. Buy-in from your employees, buy-in from your team, buy-in from your group. Communication, communicate the plan to all that is involved is critical to the success of the decision. And then the final one, controlling the results. Control methods should be developed during the planning. So establishing checkpoints to determine whether the chosen alternative is solving the problem. If it is not, there needs to be corrective action. If the implementation continues to go poorly, don't remain, quote, married to your decision. Okay? That is, don't rule out a divorce. When managers will not admit they made a bad decision and take evasive action, okay, to avoid a collision or a failure, okay, they are escalating the problem. When you make a poor decision, okay, own it, understand it, learn from it, move on. Admit your mistake. Okay? Go back to your decision-making process, make the adjustments, and move forward. We said don't go down with the ship, especially with division, because there's a lot of people on that ship. This concludes Chapter 3, presentation on decision-making.